These are the stories
My little girl, she's changing lives just by being herself.
of organizations and people making a difference.
When you first tell someone about adaptive wheelchair boxing, it doesn't sound real.
And empowering others
It saved my life. It saved my life.
across Canada
I scored my first goal in my first blind hockey game.
in our community.
Our brains are racing. To us, that's normal.
But what's
Shit!
Sorry,
Startled me.
I can tell. Your door was open.
Not rehearsing a speech.
Sorry, I'm sorry I'm late. I got stuck at the piano. I was
Okay, you
working
don't
on a
have
new
to
song and then you
apologize.
burst in here. I'm all scattered and like.
When my play begins and well, we walk out on stage, the characters come to life. I'm like, here we go. The audience will hopefully learn what it's truly like to live with ADHD. And if they have ADHD, then they'll also see themselves represented on stage and feel seen and validated. And well, you know, and if they don't, they get to figure it out in like an hour and a half, what it took me 35 years. So, you know, that's one of the reasons that I called it I Have No Idea.
I don't know how to make my thoughts make sense.
All right, first rehearsal.
First rehearsal. What are we doing?
We are doing I Have No Idea. I was going to say, I don't
You were
know, what are
supposed
we
to
doing?
say You were supposed to say
This is the first play I've written that has been professionally produced. This one's personal. It's about adult ADHD. I was diagnosed with ADHD in my late 30s. Really well, and I had people coming up and saying, if that's what the show is, then like I know somebody that needs to see it. So I was like, okay. Yeah. So my name's Nathan Coppens, and I'm the playwright, songwriter, producer, and co-star of the play I Have No Idea. The name, well, I have no idea. I have no idea what it means. No, it's a line that's in the play a couple of times, but it's also symbolic of, you know, sometimes what goes on with mental health diagnoses where you don't have any idea that there's anything, you know, different. And then you figure out there's something different and you don't know what it is, so you have no idea there. So it's kind of reflective of that, you know, process and the journey as well. So I'm excited to get going again and to see how some of these revisions work. And we already had a first run of the play in Regina. We're gearing up for a second run here in Saskatoon. So for every rehearsal we have me. I'm in there in various capacities, but I'm in the rehearsal hall as the actor. Crystal is my co-star, another actor, and Tracy is our director, and then we have Sam, our stage manager, and Tracy's service dog, Lita. All of us have an ADHD diagnosis, except for Sam and the dog. Like, we just know that our brains function differently. And so we've worked with that to be successful. So it's been a journey on this project so far, but it's been so worth it to work that way. Music means almost everything to me. I've played since I was 5. I can't walk past a piano and not play it. I go home and it's just, you know, what I do. And if I'm having a particularly, you know, agitated day, when I'm in those states, it regulates me. It's such a calming thing. I understand it. I get it. I mean, I love the sound of a piano too. It's just amazing. It's a language that I totally connect with. People will tell you, you know, oh, you can't focus, you're lazy, or if you could only focus, you're smart, you could do this. You know, no, it's not an issue of that, because I can sit at the piano and apply myself for 6 hours, you know, and play it. So it's not an issue of, you know, willpower or laziness or ability to, or work ethic. It's people with ADHD tend to be able to focus on the things that they care about a lot more and not be able to do it on things that they don't. And people go, well, nobody wants to work on things they don't care about. But like, really, it's an impairment because there are lots of times you have to. And it's an issue with, you can't get the chemicals in your brain are different. And people need those to be able to motivate themselves to do those tasks.
Do you want to go for like a walk?
If you don't know that you have it, and nobody tells you when you're younger, and you don't get diagnosed, nobody clues you in, then it's really difficult to figure it out, especially when it's a disorder that is often misunderstood. A diagnosis can validate, your own feelings of like, I'm not worthless, or I'm not lazy, I'm not a failure. So that can come through, getting that diagnosis, but also then understanding what ADHD is.
Again, haven't sung it in a long time.
Yeah.
So melody is probably going to be mine.
My name is Erica McFadden, and I'm Nathan's wife. I was like, Nathan, you definitely have ADHD. These are the symptoms. This is you. You have it. Go talk to a medical professional, please.
Hold on to your hopes and dreams.
I was actually diagnosed with ADHD before Nathan was, when I was about 27. And it made a lot of sense once I started looking into what the symptoms were for female ADHD. Like, we didn't grow up being the hyperactive class clown because our hyper awareness is usually with like hyper focus. So then we focus on one thing to the detriment of other things around you. And that's quiet. It doesn't disrupt anybody else. So why is it a problem?
Yeah, we're holding hands, but we can't really walk, don't we?
When I first read Nathan's play, I'm pretty sure I started crying at least a couple of times. Crying with laughter because it was just so real, but then also crying with satisfaction and vulnerability over seeing a real life story on stage in our living room.
Yeah, vanilla lavender latte, please. Do you want to ring my mom? I'll sign that.
I didn't want to tell only my story, so I blended in a bunch of other people's experiences with ADHD and put that into the story. Friends of mine who are different ages, different genders. There were people who were just different ethnicities and stuff as well. ADHD impacts everyone, and it can impact people differently. But they kind of all came together to form, the four different characters.
Coffee bean is a thing of beauty.
Everything is kind of a mess, except for coffee beans.
Good. Okay, good. Let's do it again. Even both of you.
So there are two actors, me and Crystal, and we each play two characters.
So one set of characters is a couple of friends who are exploring their own experiences with ADHD, and the other set of characters are both psychologists, one who is doing a good job of managing their ADHD and counseling others, and one who is unaware of their ADHD and is not doing a great job of helping anyone else. My name is Crystal Harder, and I am the other co-star of the play.
Yeah, so I just stay in the wing until he's...
It really, really hits home. I thought I had kind of accepted all of my ADHD stuff, and as we worked on the play, I realized there was a lot of parts of, my life that are affected by ADHD that I hadn't really been looking at in depth or acknowledging.
One of the characters I play, the music is just a thing that makes total sense to him, like it does to me. He's definitely the one that has the most in common with me. That's my story through him. He has a line in the play, "Music is a language I speak better than social interaction." And to me, that's a big thing.
We're all gonna let go and die.
There are people with autism, different diagnoses that, and ADHD as well, difficulty with social cues, reading expressions, knowing what to say, understanding all this stuff that's embedded into our communication. We don't get that, but music can make total sense, or another art makes total sense, or there are things that can be communicated in, non-traditional ways, I guess.
Good. Okay, let's take that again. So
The cast and the crew of this play were considered non-traditional by many in the theater community because we rehearse differently because of our ADHD. But it's better, it's more compassionate. And not only should this way be accepted, it should be encouraged. And we hope this play helps that spread.
Our community will return after the break. We now return to our community.
I think I'm still in producer mode a bit and I need to flip to actor hat today, but but I'm excited, so I'm actually like feeling slightly better. Still a bit, We start every day with a check-in, and we're really trying to not just check in and say hi, something like that. Done that before, but to check in on everybody's physical and emotional state, well-being. And it allows for us to feel more safe to explore the play and explore mental health, and everything that comes up through it. Instead of just going and being like, you have to be there all the time. You have to show up, no matter what your body is saying or your brain is saying that day. Obviously, we still have schedules. We still have, organizing to do, all this kind of stuff. But it's just caring about the other artists. You care about the artists, you care about the audiences, you care about everybody that's involved in any capacity. Tracy would say not to amputate anything, not to leave anything out.
I'm going on into my 4th week of being sick with that silly virus. My name is Tracy Foster, and I am the director of I Have No Idea. So I will be possibly calling time for myself. The check-ins for myself, if I'm holding a room, are non-negotiable. What I find is that we come together in an understanding of what's going on that particular day at that particular time. We become more productive when we're working closer to how we actually function and process as humans and function and process within the work. I've directed a number of plays, and I've worked in development of plays or of live performance about 20 to 25 years. There is this thing that asks you to keep whatever is not necessary for the room at the door. So dump all your worries, whatever's going on outside of the production, leave it at the door, come in, and don't bring it in or up until you leave the door. That's really, truly impossible for certain people with certain processing needs, as well as people who have certain disabilities where that holding will create such an anxiety and therefore an inability to take pleasure in, wading through their talent and working well. Most of what we're doing is getting a sense of here and now.
Another key part of this process being accessible, at least for me, is that Tracy took the time to do these warm-ins with us in the rehearsals for about an hour every day and for about an hour before every single show, where she worked with our nervous systems and slowly warmed up our bodies and our voices. And it is massively affecting for helping us focus, helping literally cortisol levels go down, so which helps me not have as much inflammation, which helps my chronic illnesses not flare as much. And it's not something I've done in any other theater process, but it was just a really hands-on way of her taking care of our bodies in a really tangible, active way.
The goal is really just to create a wider breadth of care and compassion so that people feel like they can take part in theater. And in accessible theater, the access that's created is for people with disability or the disabled and the non-disabled. Access is for everyone. Sam, this is, you have the great fortune, a little bit of a task to be stage managing a play about ADHD with a full company of people who are diagnosed ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly, yeah. It's real, and it will present its own difficulties and challenges. Like for me, I can tell you the lights are going to be an issue for me. I'm already starting to have to fight thinking and sensing, activated, we will share.
Yeah.
Whatever feels safe to share and okay to share. In the name of access, that means you, stage manager, also get to say, Tracy, I need to talk about this thing which keeps on interfering with what I am actually responsible for. So that...
My name is Sam Fairweather, and I am the stage manager. So I don't have a neurodivergent diagnosis, but I am heavily medicated for anxiety.
Are we wanting the keyboard to be run through the soundboard? Or
My job kind of is somewhere in the middle between the actors, the designers, the director. Basically, my job is to make sure that everyone is on the same page. It's a lot of organizing, yeah.
I'm sorry, so sorry. No, we figured it out.
From what I've seen in this rehearsal with people with ADHD, I've seen richer discussions. I've seen very open and honest realizations, and I've seen a lot of passion for telling the story, because I believe that in telling the story, we also get to spread that message not only to the theater community about where things maybe need to be adapted or expanded to invite more people in, but to the rest of the world, you know?
testing sound.
You don't need everybody on the team to have, ADHD in this case, because you don't want to have disability in a non-disability theater.
Okay, so we're adding a fade into pseudo black.
Yeah.
Sam's been fantastic at understanding how a neurodivergent room is different from a, neurotypical theater space, and what we need and what we were really excited about. How great would it be to have somebody learning from us, learning from Tracy, about how to manage in this context when they hadn't necessarily been exposed to it before. And then you're working with disability arts in a way that can broaden your experience, and you'll know how to take that into other rooms, in other, companies and spaces.
I had to miss a number of rehearsals in this process because I had first a flare-up of the other two conditions that I have, myalgic encephalomyelitis, chronic fatigue syndrome, and fibromyalgia. And then on top of that, a really bad virus. There's nothing that can be done about the flares other than resting, and typically there's not really time to rest. It was pretty revolutionary to just be able to go home and sleep.
Crystal can leave, exit slightly, and then come back into Brian's office.
I offered to actually rehearse on Zoom, and Tracy was like, no, that's not gonna help because you're still concentrating, you're still putting out energy. You need to just be sleeping.
And here you are.
Here I am.
And you find.
And then I'm able to come back and actually do a good job because I'm not fighting the vast array of symptoms that happen as a result of those two illnesses flaring. But I'm back, and I am ready and excited and nervous for opening night.
Our community will return after the break. We now return to our community.
Tonight is opening night. Here's your scarf, Nathan.
Thank you.
Here goes Ryder. You need anything else?
I don't think so.
Hell yeah.
If I had to describe, I have no idea in a couple of lines. It's funny and uses humor and music to honestly depict ADHD.
Zombie, 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 You're so good at that. I'm not good at anything.
It's not a pity party. It's not trauma porn. Inspiration porn. Like, we get told, oh, you're not normal. Well, to me, this is normal. What if I call you not normal? What if my version of reality is the normal one? How would you like it? Let's flip it on its head. We look at it through that lens, and there's a lot of joy to be had. There's celebrating, and there's also people will laugh, sometimes in frustration, in identification with the characters, but it's also just funny. It's terribly, terribly funny. And there are moments where it gets sad, but life isn't all sad and it's not all funny. It's a variation, it's ups and downs and valleys. And, you know, that's true for everybody, I would think.
Got told I was lazy. Got told I was crazy. I got angry. Got more anxious. I got a chip on my shoulder. I got debt. I got drunk. I got lost. And at 34...
The process of writing it and putting it on has been tremendous. I think I'm understanding it more. ADHD. I'm definitely understanding playwriting more. But, you know, what's been really rewarding has just been seeing the feedback so far. We have been told of 16 people that came to see the shows in Regina and then went and got a diagnosis.
And how you've coped. A number of audience members stayed after opening night, and hearing stories both from people that have ADHD and know that they do, from people that were wondering if they have ADHD, from people that wanted to better understand the people in their life that have it.
And I think that's the ultimate hope from this project, is everyone feels like they belong wherever that might be.
I'm so proud of what he's accomplished with this show. I feel like it's more life-changing than we really know at this moment.
Keep singing your song.
Yeah, it just feels special.
Produced by Honeycut Studios. Thanks to the Refinery Arts and Spirit Center, Night Oven Bakery, the Roxy Theater. Narrator, Mark Phoenix. Integrated Described Video Consultant, Ron Rickford. Supervising Producer, Jennifer Johnson. Content Development Specialist, Jim Crisco. Director of Programming, Lizanne Gagne. Director, Content Development and Production, Kara Nye. Vice President, Content Development and Operations, John Melville. President and CEO, David Arrington. Copyright 2024, Accessible Media Inc.
An AMI original production.